This is the video that's going to go with parallel lines, transversals, and equations guided notes. Now, what we're going to be looking at in this particular set of notes is equations that we need to create, knowing our relationship of angles when we have parallel lines. Now, remember in our last lesson, we decided that with parallel lines, we either had obtuse and we had acute angles. All the obtuse were the same, all the acute were the same. Okay, now we also know that if we have one acute and one obtuse angle, they add up to be 180 degrees. Those are the previous facts that we need to know to set up these problems. Okay, so we're going to work 4 examples together. The first 2 are going to be where the angles are equal. Now, when I look at my picture, I'm going to have to decide, do the 2 angles that they're talking about, are they, not do they, but are they equal to each other? Well, we know they are going to be equal to each other when? Put a little star right here if you want to. Both are obtuse or both are acute. Okay, so if they're both small angles, they're equal to each other. If both angles they're talking about are larger angles, bigger than 90 degrees or obtuse, that means they are also going to be equal to each other. Okay, so let's just kind of look at number 1 right here. And remember, anytime in the video, if you need to stop, pause, and copy, please do. Okay, so in number 1, when I look at my picture right here, I have this angle right here, and I have this angle right here. Well, I notice they're both they're both acute angles. Since they're both acute angles, that means they have to be equal to each other. So to set up my equation, all I'm going to do is take the 10x minus 2 and make it equal to the 52. Okay, because remember that while they don't look the same, they are really the same because the angle sizes are the same. So to set up my equation, I'm going to put 10x minus 2 equal to 52. If I'm solving this and I'm going to put my river in there, I can. Okay. Now, this is just a little 2-step equation, so it's not too difficult to solve. So we're going to add 2 to both sides, just like this. And what I'm going to have is 10x equal to 52 plus 2, which is going to be 54. And if I divide both sides by the 10, I can do this as a decimal, and I can just say 5.4. And there's my answer. Okay? Now, you sit there going, whoa, that's just solving an equation. I'm so used to doing that. That's not difficult. Well, it's not. That's not the new information. The new information was that we could look at this and say acute angle, parallel lines, they're equal to each other. So then I could make my equation to start with. The solving part we're good at. Okay? Now, if you look at number 2, if we look at number 2 down here, okay? I notice I'm talking about 2 angles again. I'm talking about this angle right here, which I notice is well more than 90 degrees, so it's obtuse. I know this angle right here is also well more than 90 degrees, so that is also obtuse. Oh, an obtuse angle is always, in this situation, obtuse angle is always equal to an obtuse angle? Absolutely. So can I put this equal to that? Nod your head, yes, we can do that. So I'm going to write down right here, 4 parentheses, x plus 2, close that parentheses, is going to be equal to my angle right here, which is 6x minus 10. Now, if I put my river in, we just need to solve this. Oh, this is easy. First thing we got to do is get rid of the parentheses, right? So 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 2 is 8. Now I've got 6x minus 10. Now, remember we said we're going to put the x's over on the left side. So I'm going to subtract the 6x from both sides. just like that. So 4 minus 6, that's negative 2x, plus 8. Well, the 6x minus 6x, they just do what? They just cancel each other out. And that leaves me over here with negative 10. Now, I'm going to have to start writing small. I'm going to run out of room. I'm going to subtract the 8 from both sides, just like that. Okay? So that's going to give me negative 2x equal to negative 10 minus 8, which is negative 18. If I divide by the negative 2, squeezing it in right there, what am I going to have? I'm going to have x, because these negative 2's cancel out, right? Negative 18 divided by negative 2, that's going to be positive 9. So in this particular problem, x comes out to be equal to 9. Okay? Again, pause if you need to. So example 1 and 2 was looking at if I have two acute angles, they're going to be equal. If I have two obtuse angles, they're going to be equal. Now, 3 and 4 are going to be the situations where you have one acute angle and one obtuse angle. Well, if one is acute, one is obtuse, oh my God, no way can they ever be equal to each other. So we know with parallel lines, that means they're going to add up to 180 degrees. So if I look right here at my little comment notes, my little double star, we're going to be talking about when angles are supplementary. Well, what does supplementary mean? Just means they add up to 180 degrees. How do I know I have that? We just said it. When we have one acute and one obtuse angle. Okay, you have one large, one small. You have one large, one small. You know you're going to have to add them up to 180. They cannot be equal. Okay? Now, I need to fix a little typo right here. This is supposed to be 100 right there. Okay? So that's supposed to be 100, not 180. Okay? Now, I tell you what, let's fix that even better because that's not going to work. Let's make this, how about 140? Let's make that 140. That'll work out to a nicer, prettier number. Okay? Ad-libbing this here. Now, let's take these two angles. We know this is obtuse. We know this is acute. So can I add them together and come up with 180? Nod your head, yep. So what I'm going to have is 140 plus 20x plus 100, okay, equal to 180. Okay, so this angle plus this angle have to add up to be 180. Okay, y'all still with me? If I put my river in there, okay, let's combine our like terms. 140 plus 100 is 240 plus 20x equal to 180, just like that. If I subtract the 240 from both sides, just like that, I'm going to have 20x equal to, now 180 minus 240. What is that going to give me? That's going to give me negative 60. If I divide by 20, what's x going to equal? Yep, you're right. It's negative 3. Just like that. Okay. Now, again, the solving part's not the big deal. Making sure you understand that if you have one obtuse angle, one acute angle, you add them together, they're going to equal 180 degrees. Now, look at number 4, because to me, number 4 is the one that can be tricky because it's a little bit harder to see just the way the picture's laid out, okay? But if I slanted my paper right here a little bit, I can really tell that that right there is an acute angle. And this one right here is really an obtuse angle, okay? So we know they can't be equal. So that means they have to add up to 180 degrees, okay? Now, I'm gonna do this really fast so we're not get them all mixed up with each other. So I'm gonna take both of these angles and I'm gonna add them together. So my first one right here is gonna be 30 parentheses x minus 2, close the parentheses, plus up here on this one, 10 times x plus 12, close the parentheses, and that's both I'm going to add up together to be 180, okay? I'm going to run out of the margin of my paper, but that's okay. Put my river in there. Now, let's get rid of our parentheses, do the distributive property. 30 times x is 30x. 30 times minus 2 is minus 60. Plus 10 times x is 10x. Plus 10 times 12 is 120. And that's equal to 180. Okay. Now, let's combine our like terms. Right here, I've got 30x plus 10x, which is 40x. Now, be careful right here. This is minus 60 or negative 60. So, negative 60 plus 120. Okay, that's going to be a plus 60 equal to 180. Oh, this is getting better. Numbers are kind of big, but that's okay. I meant my two-step equation here. So what am I going to do next? I'm going to subtract 60 from both sides, just like that. And 40x, the 60s cancel out. And 180 minus 60 is 120. If I divide by the 40, I get x equal to what? 3. Okay. Again, yeah, that's got all of our little steps in solving, but that's okay. But I just needed to make sure from my picture I understood that this obtuse angle plus this acute angle is always going to add up to be 180 degrees. Okay? Now, go ahead and finish copying your notes. Make sure they get into your interactive notebook and then go to Canvas and find your assignment to work on.